And we did just have a radio first. I mean, this is the first time anyone, anywhere, ever has used masculine and RAV4 in the same sentence. Boost, Booze, and Barbecue. Hello and welcome to Boost, Booze, and Barbecue. This is Andy.
It's Coy.
How's it going, man?
It's going great. Had a great day with you.
Coy just tried to fool me by opening a bottle with his teeth, and he thinks that I'm just going to sit there and be like, oh, wow, you opened the bottle with your teeth. No, I'm not buying it.
I got just a nice bottle of Two Town Cider House, Boysen Barrel. It's a limited release boysenberry cider. It's barrel-aged boysenberry. Doesn't say what kind of barrel. I'm assuming bourbon, but I don't know.
Well, given that it's 8%, I'm going to assume that it was a barrel that had some whiskey in it before.
I wanted to share it with you, and I get it out. I pop it open with my teeth, and then you just start calling me a liar. I never said anything. I just did what I always do and open a bottle with my teeth.
No, you did not. I refuse to believe that.
Have you watched the John Wayne movie? Like, how do you open the bottles?
With a bottle opener, a metal bottle opener.
Do you have a banana peeler that's specifically for opening bananas? Come on, like there's things you don't need that kind of stuff for.
This is the beauty of flawed logic. Okay? You sit there and you say these things that are nothing alike.
My mind is blown. Like, I can get another bottle and show you.
No.
I'll teach you how to do it.
No,
I'm
not interested.
I don't need to show you. I will teach you.
I am not.
Learning is true belief.
I'm not interested. Just pour some of that good stuff into a glass so that we can see what this tastes like.
It tastes delicious.
How's that for a soundbite?
Oh, there you go. All right, go ahead.
Cheers, my friend, to a successful day, because we just came back from the Portland International Auto Show, doing a little bonus episode for you guys. I had a great time. We went on Saturday. It was very busy. We started recording at the show. We wanted to do a full show, but it just got too busy and too loud. So you're going to be hearing that recording towards the end. But still, it was a great time, even though it was just a flood of people. Who can blame them? The show was huge this year.
Oh, it was massive. I think every manufacturer in existence, except for Mazda, strangely,
except
was
for Mazda.
Not there.
It was very weird not seeing Mazda there.
I have no idea why, but assuming some corporate decision or something.
Oh, I'm sure, yeah. The closest thing we had to a Mazda there was a Fiat 124.
Yeah, which, nice enough car. It's still not a Miata, though. It's trying real hard. It looks good, but it just feels like it's trying too hard to be a Miata.
Well, that's because it is a Miata.
I know, but they need to you either make it a Miata or you go more into like a Z4 super comfort zone and not do this weird knife edge where like, I'm a Miata, but I'm also European.
Yeah, that's a good point. You end up just kind of being this weird hybrid crossover.
Yeah, so not a huge fan of those myself. We'll see how it plays out, how they actually end up performing. I mean, I know they've been out a while. They're not performing on levels with Miatas, really, but... Yeah.
Well, at any rate, we had a great time, talked to a lot of people, weren't able to get a lot of people on the microphone because we weren't there on the official media day.
Yeah, it's a little hard to get in there on the Thursday with day jobs and whatnot.
Yeah, day jobs, 2 kids, all of that.
I'm thinking next year, though, I'm going to go ahead and take off Thursday and show up Wednesday night and take advantage of the charity dinner and the free open bar.
Yeah, they did a full charity night where it was fully catered, open bar. It was $100 a ticket. So not exactly the cheapest thing in the world to go to. But if you want to get a preview of the entire show and have some good drinks and conversation while you're at it, that's definitely the time to go.
Yeah, and downtown Portland, I mean, there's hotels everywhere. You can Uber to anything.
Yeah.
I think next year I'm going to grab the wife and go do that and then be there on media day.
I think we will do that next year, but as far as this year is concerned, we still had a great time. We still saw all kinds of rigs there. It was really remarkable. The one that sticks out right off the top of my head was definitely that Jeep Gladiator.
Yeah, I mean, that's the first time I've seen one, and I'm guessing 99.9% of the listeners have not seen one in person yet. Yeah, that was pretty incredible.
Built in Toronto.
Built in Canada. And that thing rolled off the assembly line, and they put the foot to the floor. I wasn't certain. It sounded like it might have been driven there by a person, but it was awfully clean, so I'm assuming it rolled straight onto the back of a truck and got hauled here.
I'm thinking so too. Really remarkable unit, though. I'm really impressed with what Jeep did. The thing is on a 1500 half-ton chassis, and so it really truly is a truck. It is a crew cab truck. It can tow 7,000 pounds, so it is a legit truck for all intents and purposes.
Yeah, there was a lot of those AEV conversions where guys would take four-door Jeeps and have them converted into a pickup Jeep thing, but this is nothing like that. It is a significant advantage better than those. This is it's for all intents and purposes, it's a pickup, but has the Jeep removable doors, removable hardtop, and it looks good.
Mm-hmm. It looks real good. You know what I just realized?
What?
It is a convertible pickup.
Yeah?
I just realized that. Not since the SSR, the Chevy SSR, have I seen a convertible pickup.
I always think of like, you'll see those weird like ZZ Top looking guys that have like a old Datsun pickup that has like a homemade convertible thing on it. That's what I think of when I think of convertible truck. Right.
Just the shockingly bad, like you look at them and go, why would you do that and think it looks good?
Well, I've seen some that looked good, but they put it on like a bucket of rust Datsun.
Yeah.
So you're like, why would you put it on that truck?
Yeah, there's no point in doing that. I don't understand why people do that. But at any rate, I think that Jeep has really done this one right. Or should I say Chrysler, I guess. But I think they've really done this Jeep Gladiator right.
I think technically you should say Fiat did an excellent job with it.
Ouch. Wow. This thing is getting less cool by the second. We should move on. They also had the Ford Ranger there. I had not seen one in person before, and I had yet to sit in one. And it was a pretty interesting looking truck. I don't want to compare it to a Colorado, but I am going to. The interior space was pretty similar, in my opinion. It maybe wasn't quite as cramped in the Ranger as I felt in the Colorado, but it is a small truck. It's a small truck.
Yeah, it honestly feels smaller than the Colorado or the Tacoma to me. I don't know if there's any truth in that, but just walking by it, hopping in it, it feels smaller than both Tacoma and the Colorado to me.
Very ergonomic, though. The seating position was good. The seats felt good. And really, the rear space in that crew cab was not bad.
No, it wasn't bad at all. And, you can tell just by looking at it, it's really aerodynamic looking, which usually looks horrible in a truck. Like you want that boxy freight train look, but it still looked good.
You had a gripe about the Ranger, though.
Oh, the only thing I saw right away, and a lot of newer vehicles are doing this, all those parking assist and adaptive cruise control takes little kind of radar sensor things on the bumper. And some companies have been putting them like up above the bumper a little bit. So if you want to change the bumper out, put something aftermarket, like a big beefy winch bumper, it's a lot easier when they don't have to integrate the radar into those. Like, there are companies that do it. There are other trucks that need that already, but it seems like it would have been better for them to go ahead and just put that up right underneath the grill on that fascia instead of in that bumper.
I think that's one of those things. It's the separation between the car guy and the engineer. Somebody engineered that bumper to have those in there, but if they had been more, I don't know, enthusiast-minded, maybe you could say, I think they would have realized, don't put it in the bumper because somebody's going to want to mount a winch. Somebody's going to want to change that bumper out. Like, if they're trying to build this as a true off-road vehicle, putting those sensors in the bumper is maybe not the greatest idea.
Yeah, that's where I'm at on that. And I'm not sure, those were XLTs they had there. It's very possible that not every model of the Ranger is going to have those. So there may be some that don't have those. And the other thing that I think Ford has going for it, right now, the Ford F-150 is the best-selling, not just pickup, but vehicle in America. They sell more F-150s than any one vehicle of everything produced in America, or sold in America, I should say. So that Ford Ranger, I'm guessing, I don't know if it's going to surpass F-150, but it's going to take a huge share of the market. And all these companies that make bumpers and accessories like that, they have to take advantage of it. It's not going to slow them down to have to design around those sensors.
And as far as the diesel engine that may or may not be coming to the Ranger, I'm really curious to see how that turns out, because the diesel Colorados, I won't say that they're not being well received. I just don't see them as often as I might expect to. Great gas mileage, but when you have a starting price of $45,000, it's hard to get people into the rig.
I think that's 90% of what's holding people back from getting the diesels.
Mm-hmm.
Is that it's just like $5,000 more right off the bat than any gas one.
Mm-hmm.
That, and a lot of people don't understand with those smaller diesels the boost lag that they have. So they test drive it and they put the foot down and it feels like they got no power, and then they feel a power surge. And then people who haven't driven diesels aren't used to that and a lot of times won't like it, and it'll kind of scare them off.
Yeah, that makes sense, actually. I hadn't really thought about that, but that's a good point.
Yeah, I know a lot of like the diesel excursions, some of the diesel Suburbans and stuff. They didn't sell like everybody thought they would, simply because a lot of like soccer moms and stuff were driving these things, and they'd get in it and they wouldn't like it because of the way that power's delivered.
Right, that makes sense. Well, we did see a few surprising things at the show. I think one of my favorite things that I saw, should I say favorite, but the Kia Stinger that they had there was like this gunmetal gray, and it looked amazing. And then once we got up close to the thing, I realized that it was an all-wheel drive model.
Yeah, that was an impressive car. I'd love to take one out. I don't know if the all-wheel drive models are already for sale. I hadn't even heard they're making an all-wheel drive.
No, I hadn't either. Last thing I heard about the Kia Stingers was that they put a drift pad together at SEMA and were running the Stingers around on this drift course, taking people for rides. I didn't even know all-wheel drive was going to be an option.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting to see where that leads in the future with aftermarket performance and how far they can take that all-wheel drive system.
Mm-hmm. They were already, mid-300s, I think, out of that 3.3 turbo engine.
Yeah, it could be a Galant VR4 situation on our hands.
That's what I'm talking about, man. That is what I'm talking about. You get that thing up into the 400, 450 horsepower range.
Load up the boys, go out to the downtown stoplights and look for the fastest looking car and destroy them before you get to the next one.
You are going to surprise some people with a car like that. It's very impressive. It's very impressive. Hyundai also made a little bit of a showing. They had their tricked out race spec Veloster R there. I think it's called the Veloster R spec. And I like it. I just don't like it as much as I thought I would because it's not all-wheel drive.
I like it, but there's a Civic Type R like 47 feet to the northeast of it.
Yeah. We talked about the Civic SI when we were walking around and recording a little earlier, and you guys will be able to hear that towards the end of the show. But yeah, that Civic Si, that's a really well-built car. And they had not just the 4-door there with that giant wing, but they also had the 2-door.
Yeah, I like that 2-door one. I wasn't a huge fan of the color they had there, but I'm pretty sure you can change that. So yeah, I wouldn't mind having one of those 2-doors.
Ford had a Transit van with a pop top on it, and it had a little camper conversion inside. Do you remember that?
Yeah, it was very old school VW wagon, camper wagon-esque, but it was a Ford Transit.
I thought that was very cool. I mean, I'm not a huge fan of the Transit, but you know, not a lot of people think about doing the Transit for like a camper conversion. One of my favorite podcasts and blogs to follow is Nat Park Stories, and the young lady that runs that, she converted a Transit van into a living situation, and it's very impressive. I didn't know that you could fit as much as she did in those Transit vans, but then seeing that pop-top one today made me realize that this is a thing, this is legit, and if you've got two people that want to convert a van to go out, it doesn't necessarily need to be a Sprinter or a 3/4 ton van. Those little Transits, you can do just fine, you just have to be a little creative with the packaging.
Yeah, they had standing room popped up. I was impressed with it.
Very impressed.
The other car that was kind of a sneaky surprise for me was that Dodge Power Wagon. I've seen them, and I've been off-road around them before, but I've never been inside of one. It was legit. The way that Power Wagon was written on the seats, had the toolbox built into the side beds. I've never opened those on any of the Dodges before. I didn't realize how deep and how much space was in those.
Yes, it was so big that it had to have one of those child safety unlock deals.
Yeah, it had the escape hatch, showed a person, little stick figure, opening it and then running. In case you got kidnapped and stuffed in the toolbox on the side of a Dodge Power Wagon.
And of course, my immediate comment to Coy after we saw that was the only way I'm fitting in there is if I'm in pieces.
Yeah, no, I'm only getting in there unless you have a blender set to liquefy. I'm going to have to be poured in.
Yeah. Coy's going to make a special edition Will It Blend. That's the only way he's going to fit in that side
It'll be a
box.
special Will It Blend episode. It would be horrible.
But I did like that Power Wagon. And you know what I liked? So the Power Wagon stitching on the seat, that was killer. I loved seeing that. The Power Wagon stenciling on the side, they had it a few different places around the truck. And also, it was a 2500. And so it had the 6.4 liter, I believe, diesel. That seems like it would just be a really good truck to have. I don't have any reason to own it. The price, quite frankly, is out of my range, but that was a very good looking truck.
Yeah, the Power Wagons actually have a different frame than the regular 2500s. It's reinforced.
Really?
Yeah, and they come factory with front and rear lockers.
Wow, that's pretty killer.
Yeah, Power Wagons are kind of underrated in the off-road community, I think, just because they're full size, but they're nothing to scoff at. They're built vehicles from the factory.
You can take a full-size truck on the trails. I mean, sometimes it's going to be a tight squeeze, but you shouldn't feel dissuaded from running the trails if you've got a full-size truck.
No, I was recently up in the mountains kind of doing a snow run with a bunch of vehicles, and one of them was not a brand new Dodge Power Wagon, but a newer one. And he had some work done to it, but I was very impressed with how well it did in the snow, considering how heavy they are.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
I mean, he was doing better than a lot of kind of Pathfinder, Forerunner type stuff.
That's pretty impressive, man.
Yeah, no, it's very nice.
And plus that color. I don't know what to call that color. It was like not exactly a black cherry, but it was a deeper red.
If I had to specifically name it one thing, I would do like a dragon's egg cherry. I think that's probably the shade that it would be.
Dragon's egg cherry. I like that.
Yeah, no. Like a dragon's egg maroon, maybe.
Okay. I don't know how you know what a dragon's egg looks like, but that's not important. We're going to move on from there because no good is going to come of this. On the Toyota front, Coy was so excited to see the new RAV4 because there are photos of the RAV4 everywhere. And that was the one Toyota car that they didn't have there. But they did have a very cool looking, I don't know if I should call it an FT86 because it had all of the FT86 badging, but it was a Toyota FRS. And yeah, all of the 8.6 badges on it. And it had some like stenciling across the side in different colors. And it was the TRD edition. Yeah. I'm not sure I'd seen a TRD edition.
I don't know if there is an actual TRD edition or if that's just something that was added on. But yeah, it had the TRD on the glove box section there. And it was the old school Glory Days, Baja Racing, that yellow, red, orange. Had kind of a stripe of that going down the side. And the TRD was that old Toyota yellow, red, orange kind of fade, like the old Baja trucks and stuff, on a black FRS. And it looked good. Looked really good.
The only reason why I think that might be factory is because it was molded into the back bumper as well. The TRD logo was like molded, or it said, TRD in that older style, actually molded into the back bumper. And so that's what made me feel like it might be factory. Might not be factory. I mean, hey, you can customize these things any way you can. But it was a 2018. I was caught off guard by the headroom. I have sat in FRSs before and noticed that I did not have appropriate headroom. But in this one, I actually seem to have 4 inches more than I did the last time I sat in one. So I don't know if it was a difference in the headliner or a difference in the seat position, but I felt more comfortable in that FRS than I have in any other.
I was going to check after you mentioned that at the show. My Toyota has a little pump handle on the side, and everybody thinks it's to lean the seat back. You actually pump it, and there's like an air cylinder under the seat, and you can adjust the up and down height of the seat. And I wanted to see if it had that, and then I got distracted taking pictures and whatnot.
That might be the case.
Back to that RAV4, though. I was going to say, my wife has a RAV4, and they're what wives drive. It's not, it's not an ugly car, but it's not an off-road car. It's in that just drive it around SUV zone. Those pictures of that new RAV4 has like a Jeep Commander kind of thing going on. It's got these real squared fender liners. It looks kind of off-road packagey. And they're all-wheel drive. It looks really good.
No, I agree. It looks tougher than normal. It looks more masculine than RAV4s have in the past.
It is hands down the manliest RAV4 or most masculine, toughest, most commando RAV4 I've ever seen. Except for I didn't see one since they decided to put giant posters up of it, but then not have one there.
And we did just have a radio first. I mean, this is the first time anyone, anywhere, ever has used masculine and RAV4 in the same sentence.
For sure, 100% for sure. Yeah,
This is
they've
breaking
used
news.
hybrid and RAV4 in the same sentence, and grandma and RAV4, but never masculine and RAV4.
Not without a not somewhere in there.
Yeah, not in a positive way.
Right.
So I'm really interested to kind of see some specs on that and see what they look like. They look great. I'm guessing they're just kind of an all-wheel drive. They're not going to be like a transfer case, geared down all-wheel or off-road type thing, but for just running up to the hiking trails and stuff, I'm sure it'll be great, and it looks really good.
I'm hoping that they've packed a little power under the hood. You remember not the RAV4 that you guys have, but the generation before that, they put the 3.5 liter V6 into, and that thing turned out to be a bit of a screamer. It would run like mid-13s in the quarter mile, and nobody expected that from a RAV4.
Well, there was an early generation RAV4 that I'm pretty sure they made a factory supercharged model.
Yeah.
And that was that really small, even extra ugly one. But I've heard those are remarkably quick.
I think those were the 2.2 liter, like the 5 SFE. Anyways, we're getting off track. Toyota did have some cool stuff going on, though. Speaking of masculine vehicles that you wouldn't think of, they had a Camry there. There was, again, like gunmetal gray, but the roof and the roof pillars were all blacked out, and black lip on the front, and honestly just looked like it was ready to go road racing. I was pretty surprised by that.
It has a real like Scion TC and an old school Camry had a baby kind of thing going on. It's got the back windows have that real angular thing going on. It looked good. I liked it.
Yeah, it was blocky. It was muscular. It had much larger wheels and tires than I would have expected.
Speaking of muscular, for the first time I saw the new Tacoma TRD Pro with the factory snorkel. Yeah, because you know how it is. You get your brand new 2019, you're like, hey, let's go find some water to ford.
Yeah, man. So, hey, the base price for those Tacomas is $24,995, something like that. That's where they start for the Tacoma. How much was this TRD Pro?
Oh, it was a bargain at essentially priced $45,363.
So it only costs you $20,000 more for that snorkel?
Well, I mean, you get a 4-wheel drive system and badges and like shock. Like you get some stuff.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, is it a 4-wheel drive model that's $24,000 or is that a 2-wheel drive?
Oh, it's got to be 2-wheel.
So I'm guessing you could probably pick up like an ultra base 4-wheel drive system or a 4-wheel drive Tacoma for $33,000, $35,000, let's say. And then you could pour $10,000 into it and still be a little cheaper than a Pro. And it would be, honestly, $10,000 of modifications would be a light years ahead in performance off-road than a Pro.
Maybe, but you know what it will never have?
Pro badges.
Pro badges, baby.
I bet you could get Pro badges in that $10,000 budget.
Now, it's not the same. People are going to call you a poser.
That's like putting a Cobra engine in your car, but then if you put the Cobra badges too, then it's not a real Cobra.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You can put the Cobra engine in and people will say, oh, that's pretty cool. But if you try to badge it a Cobra, no. Now you're just a poser. Leaving the show, I saw one of the most horrendous things. I shouldn't be taking a turn for the negative. This will just be quick and then we'll go back to the cars. I saw a Mustang that was really tricked out driving in downtown Portland, but it had a badge on it that said 3.7. And I just wanted to tear my eyeballs out.
I mean, that's the guy. Imagine if he had a Cobra badge, though. Then he'd be a poser. He's being straight. He's a straight shooter.
Yeah, but I would never know.
He is shooting straight out of all 6 cylinders. You know what I'm saying? Like,
with the way he's driving it, I'm going to assume it's like 5.5 cylinders.
Fair enough.
Nothing against Ford. I'm sure they make a fantastic V6, but I'm just saying.
They had some awesome motorcycles at this show, too.
Yeah, they did.
I'm really impressed with those Indians. Man, those are some good-looking Indians.
And they...
Not in the racial way, though. Like, I'm talking about Indian motorcycles. They had some great Indian motorcycles.
I was really impressed with some of the styles that they had there. It was really impressive what they were able to do with those motorcycles.
It seems like in the bike department, a lot of these guys are going to kind of an older, more retro approach with all the motorcycles. I don't know, did you notice that?
I did notice that.
Which I love, to be quite honest. Like, it makes me want to get a motorcycle to get kind of one of those kind of scrambler looking street bike hardtail combinations that I'm seeing. They look really good. Right up my aesthetic alley.
I have no idea what was going on with that Yamaha three-wheeler that they had to put badges all over that said, this is not a trike.
Yeah, it was Nikon. Yamaha Nikon was the name of it. Hideous doesn't begin to describe what this thing is. I walked by it, and I just thought there were two bikes on their kickstands leaning close to each other.
Mm-hmm.
Turns out it's basically the front of the bike is the two front ends. You got two tires, two sets of forks going to one set of handlebars, and then one rear wheel. And I'm not talking like a trike where those two front tires are 4 feet apart. They are 7.5 inches away from each other.
You guys can check it out in the photos. There'll be slideshow photos underneath of this episode, which you can find at boostboostbbq.com, of course. Coy, we've got a lot to cover. I'm going to cut over to our thoughts and feelings real time that we were taking on the floor of the show, and we will meet back up with you guys afterwards. What have you seen so far that you are just like totally in love with?
I'm really liking this new Jeep over here. Comes in midlife crisis green. No, they're making some seriously eye-popping colors. And then they have this new Jeep Gladiator, the pickup here.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
As I understand it, they produced this just a few short days before the show and then threw it on a truck straight here. It was a last-second thing.
About the only information they were able to give us was that it was built 7 days ago. But beyond that, they won't say anything about it.
Yeah. The Loctite still hasn't dried, is what I was specifically told.
I do like this Jeep Rubicon that they have. It's in a nice yellow, and I would take it over the green if I'm honest.
Really, the yellow over the green? I'm going to take the midlife crisis green. I like yellow. I've owned yellow cars, but it's just so H1 Hummer, you know?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
The blue's not bad. That's a new blue for Jeep that I haven't seen before. It's kind of an older looking blue color, just a real dark navy blue.
Yeah, it's slightly darker than the Honda Civic SIs had that really nice metallic blue.
Yeah, no, I really like it. I'm not a big Jeep guy, to be honest, but these new Jeeps are looking good.
Yeah, looking
real
really
sharp.
good.
I like the vents behind the fender. Got kind of a good look.
When it
matching
says
hardtops, all the good stuff.
Well, when it says trail rated, I mean, is it truly trail rated?
You know, it's one of those trails that goes from the mall out to the secondary parking lot. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, you just have to hope that it didn't snow. I gotcha.
We took some video of this Fiat earlier. What are your thoughts on it?
I do like it. I haven't driven one yet, so I am really curious what it's going to do with that 1.4-liter turbocharged engine. You know, the Mazda version is, of course, the 2-liter direct injection engine, and we've seen recently what those are capable of doing. Mazda set that lap record at the Rolex 24 Hours of Daytona with a direct injection motor. So I think there are a lot of advancements coming. Like I said, I haven't driven this engine. The horsepower figures are not that far off of the standard Miata engine, though, if I recall correctly.
It looks great. My problem is I feel like it's second fiddle to the Mazda Miata. You know,
Right.
Like you can get it. You'll always wonder why you didn't get a Mazda Miata. Like, would it have been better? And if you get a Mazda Miata, you're never going to wonder if it's better than the Fiat or not.
Right. You're always going to see a Fiat and just think, well, that's a different style of the car that I already have. But every time you're in that Fiat, you know that it's got the underpinnings of the Miata.
Exactly.
I'll tell you what, though, Kia really brought it this year. Those Stingers, this gray Stinger over here is just beautiful.
I do like that. It's kind of reminds me of like the old primary rat rod kind of color. It's a shiny primer color. Flat gray with then like a clear coat over it. I've always been a fan of that color. Audi, some of the older Audi TTs came in that color. There's some FJ Cruisers and Toyota pickups that did that color. It's a good color. I really like it.
The 3.3-liter turbo V6 putting out plenty of horsepower, it looks like. At SEMA, they had a drift track set up, and we're drifting the Kia Stingers around. And obviously, we don't have that here in Portland because traffic is atrocious here.
And this is actually an all-wheel drive one.
Ooh.
Fancy.
I can see this as a future rally car.
I'm not sure where I'm at on these Stingers. I haven't driven one. Haven't seen somebody drive one aggressively, but Kia's coming along.
Mm-hmm. And Hyundai has a little setup over here where they've got a simulator and they've got a few of their motorsportsy kind of cars.
Yeah, I like their simulator. Interesting story as we walk past their simulator. It was, I think it'd be maybe a single axis simulator is what you call it. It had a hydraulic or pneumatic booster on all four corners of a seat, basically, and bumped you around. And it was kind of cool. And then as we walked over towards Ford, you can tell the difference of what they've done there. The Fords, you climb up inside of this rotating, spinning, leaning, basically a video game built into a CNC machine, I think. And then, did like a Mustang drift track in it. But it looked like something you'd train astronauts in.
Or at least train drivers in, huh?
It's something. It's an incredible driving simulator that Ford has over there.
And then we just walked over into the Honda section. They've got a couple of the Civic SIs, and I'm a big fan of the new SIs. Do you like the 4-door or the 2-door?
I'm always going to go 2-door when we go sports cars, honestly. But this McHuge wing we have on this 4-door here, I don't know if I like that or not.
It's pretty racer boy, or whatever you want to call it.
I feel like they got enough room to mount one more wing on top of that wing, though, the way they've done it.
Little pimp my ride type status.
Yeah. Wing on top of my wing type thing. I like those vortex generators, though. Not even being sarcastic. That looks cool.
Oh, yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. That's pure rally inspiration. I don't know that they're doing a whole lot on this car. Although, as we talked about in a previous episode, these things are so fast, it's really bizarre.
They're honestly ridiculously fast.
Seeing them lined up with all-wheel drive cars, I think the Ford Focus RS was the closest thing to the Civic Si when Road and Track was doing their test, and the Civic still beat it, but it was at least closer-ish.
Yeah, it's kind of sad, but it brings me back to the glory days. I mean, the Civics are out crushing it again, so
yeah,
I'm impressed, and it's a weird feeling of nostalgia for me.
These new turbo engines are really interesting to me. I like that the exhaust, it doesn't have an exhaust manifold. It just has ports that run through the head of the engine and then terminate at a turbo flange. It's really interesting.
Yeah, I've heard word that they're going to bring back a S2000, and it could be turbocharged, which, man, that'd be cool.
Well, that'd be a nice change of pace.
Yeah.
The thing about the S2000 is that it was very quick, and people loved it, but it just wasn't, like, it didn't stay as quick as it should have been. It seems like a few short years, and Nissan Maximas started being faster in a quarter mile than the S2000.
Well, it's because it was all motor, and it actually held the record of most power per liter for a while in any production car. Well, when you build a motor like that, there's little room for improvement without significant modification. Basically, What I'm saying is you got to pour a ton of money into it to get another 30 horsepower.
Yeah,
and nobody likes to do that.
Some type of forced induction.
You pretty much have to go forced induction to get any real gain. Whereas if it would already be forced induction, it's a very little sum of money to get a decent gain. So hopefully if next time around, if they do another S2000, they'll go forced induction and easy gains at the horsepower.
Yeah, I don't see how they can't, because now, turbos are starting to take over Honda. You're seeing them in more and more of the vehicles, and I really do think that that's the direction that they need to head. Turbochargers are good for emissions, they're good for power. It's just all around a better way to go. And of course, speaking of turbos for emissions, we've just made our way into the Ford booth. Don't worry, we're going to have photos and videos of that insane simulator that they have. Coy really wanted to go on it, but I didn't want to stand in line for an hour. Sorry, Coy.
Yeah, I love a good line. That's just too much. I was actually looking at a Dutch Brothers the other day, and the line curved out and around and was blocking traffic on the street on both sides of this little Dutch Brothers coffee shack.
Yep.
And that's when I realized there has to be something that ends with amphetamine in their coffee.
They've got a couple of interesting things here. The Edge ST kind of jumped out at me, because the Edge, not super huge, not super small either. It's like, 7/8 of an Explorer, but they have the 2.7 liter EcoBoost in these now, and that's a fantastic motor to pair with a small, mid-sized SUV.
I'm not a huge fan of this, not gonna lie. I liked the old Ford Edges simply. They were an ice cream truck, and I loved how boxy they were. They looked like a cross between an ice cream truck and a hearse.
You sure you're not thinking of the Flex?
Am I thinking of the Flex?
Because there's the Flex right there.
Turns out I am thinking of the Flex. Wah, wah, wah.
I'll tell you what, though, the Flex, I would do a Flex in a heartbeat. They're big and they're heavy, but when they have that 3.5 liter EcoBoost in them, they flat move.
I love those. They're these big boxes, and they made all-wheel drive ones that really kicked it down the track if you did it right. So.
Oh, yeah. It was like a 12-second family hauler.
Yeah. No, I like those.
They do have the Ford Ranger here, the 2019 Ford Ranger, and I don't know, a little bit of mixed feelings about it. What do you think, Coy?
I like it for what it is. I mean, you sit in an F-150 and it's a whole lot more truck, but if you're looking for one of those small trucks again, I mean, America's had not a lot in that mini truck market for years, really. A Toyota and Nissan are actually kind of even outgrowing that mini truck size.
Mm-hmm,
and the Colorado's still actually pretty good size. This Ford, at least visually, looks a lot smaller than the rest of the competition. And if you're looking for a little truck like that, then it's a nice little truck.
I want to put it next to an F-150, like straight one-to-one comparison, because I just don't know that it's going to be smaller enough to warrant getting it. You know, when you're looking at these Rangers, it starts at $30,000. If you time it right and price it right, you can get an EcoBoost F-150. Now, granted, it's going to be a little lower in the trim level, but it'll be in that $30,000 range if you catch it at the right time. And so starting at $30,000 with the Ranger, I don't know. I don't know if it's worth spending nearly the same amount for a slightly smaller truck.
I will agree with you on that, but there's going to be people that just aren't comfortable buying a larger truck. They're not going to be comfortable driving that bigger truck, and this might be the biggest thing they're comfortable driving.
Not exactly the best thing to parallel park.
No, I mean, neither of these are the best thing to be parallel parking. The view on this, I mean, you got a big bed behind you, and the style, it seems like with all these newer cars, getting narrower and narrower windows and taller door panels, so your view seems like on everything new it's getting worse and worse. But it's a small truck. I like it. I wish they'd had a diesel here. They had a diesel Colorado here, and it was a great looking vehicle, but I really wish Ford would have had their diesel out.
Are we even certain that they're going to have a diesel? I mean, there's been rumors, but
it's been I'm not sure that Ford has verified it, but it's or at least enough of a rumor that everybody's certain that they're calling it a Power Stroke, but it's coming out of their Range Rover market from Europe, and it's going to be a small diesel from Range Rover.
I do like the look of it, and the four-doors look functional. I'll say that. They look functional. What do you figure that bed is? Is that 4.5 foot, 5.5 foot?
That looks like a 5-foot bed to me.
That's the other thing. These smaller Toyota trucks, you look at the Toyota trucks from the early 90s, late 80s, early 90s. Those things were a workhorse, and they did have a 6-foot bed. So with the tailgate down and with a couple of straps, you could haul plywood to your heart's content.
Yeah. No, you're actually your dad. I remember all us growing up together had that little Mazda B2200, little guy, and he drove the daylights out of that. There were great little trucks. There were the Ford little trucks, the Rangers. Nissan had their little, and Datsun. I mean, America had a lot of mini trucks for a long time, and that's just completely went away. And I'd like to see at least a version of those mini trucks come back.
I'm with you. This just doesn't feel very mini to me. We did a quick little video of looking at the outside of the Ranger and then looking at the inside of the Ranger. And the thing that always throws me off with these smaller trucks, the Colorado especially, is that being inside of it, it feels more like a car than a truck. And I understand that a lot of people like that feeling, but then when you look at it from the outside, it's not a car. So I feel like the interior is deceptively small.
I agree there. The interior is getting more and more plush and less truck-like. And no, these are not small vehicles like the old mini trucks were, but America especially has really been trending for bigger and bigger and bigger vehicles. At some point, we got to start dialing this back into some of these smaller vehicles.
You don't think we should head back into the 25-foot-long Cadillacs with the extended nose on them territory?
I honestly feel like we're there. I want to see us kind of get back into some of these mini trucks and, those 1997 Dodge Neon size stuff. and smash it down again. And then, as the trends go, we'll have armadas and all these giant vehicles again, but there's no small vehicles that are available right now that aren't really the niche manufacturers like Mini Cooper and Smart Car. So I'd like to see some of those smaller vehicles come back.
No, I hear you. I mean, you've got a good point. The whole reason why I don't have 3 vehicles right now is because I don't want to be called Commodore. I mean, the cars are just so much bigger than they never have been, but bigger than I'm used to. As a kid, they were not this big. And we're definitely continuing to grow in size. We just went past the Nissan booth. Did you see anything from Nissan that you picked up on, liked?
I saw the 370Z. It looks about the same as they have forever. And those are great cars. I like those a lot. I didn't see anything special coming out from Nissan that really caught my eye. They had the Infiniti. I'm not sure. Q. Can't remember what it was now, but Q whatever. It's the Armada version of an Infiniti SUV, and it was the ultra luxury version. And I don't know, $89,000 or something, and it was really, really luxurious looking, very slick.
And huge, by the way.
Oh, yeah, massive. The hood came, mid-chest. I mean, it was up there.
And surprisingly, a tow capacity of like 8,500 pounds.
Yeah, no, it's a big vehicle.
I was quite surprised by that because normally the more luxurious you get, the less function you're going to have. But that thing would be able to tow, I don't know, a mid-sized camping trailer.
I'm not sure who set up this gaming system over here, some kind of VR gaming system, and what it has to do with the car show. This kid is machine gunning down drones, it appears.
Well, that's all you really need to know about it.
I'm curious. It's kind of near Kia here. Maybe they put it up. I don't know.
Well, when we got finished walking around and giving our thoughts, we had to cut a little short because it was just starting to get too busy and too loud. But we were able to catch up with the show director, Greg Remensberger, and he gave us his thoughts, his insights on what they have going on. Some really, really cool stuff. So let's go ahead and cut over to that right now. We're here with Greg Remensberger, the director of the Portland International Auto Show. How are you doing, Greg?
I'm doing great. This has been a fantastic opening so far.
Really great looking show. We've been having a lot of fun walking around, seeing what's going on. It's really incredible how much you're able to do here. How long do you work on this, or should I just assume as soon as the event's done, you start working on the next one?
Pretty much that's it. We do take a couple of weeks off just to recuperate from it and get everybody out and kind of wrap all of our last-minute business up. But then we start working with the manufacturers and our sponsors and so forth to plan the next year. It does take about a year for us to put it all together.
Well, it is very impressive. And we were just talking on the way down here to the show floor. You run this basically as a charitable event, right?
Yeah. Our board of directors made the decision 7 years ago to make this a full charity event. So we take our operating budget out first, but the balance of every dollar that we take in after that goes to charity. We have a charity event that kicks off the event, always the night before the auto show kicks off, which we had a record crowd of this last Wednesday night. And so between that and this, this year we'll probably give close to $700,000 to local charities.
Crazy.
How long does it take to get all these cars inside? Like, what day do you start bringing the cars in?
So we started moving in on Sunday last week. So it takes us about 2 days to get in and get the floors prepped, so all the space is marked out on the floor and the carpet down. Then all the freight comes in from the manufacturers, and once all the freight is off the floor, the forklifts stop moving, then the cars come in, and we do all the placements and all the electrical and everything else after that.
Well, that makes sense. You have to be a little bit careful of what you're running in here as far as machinery. We have some really beautiful cars in here and a few prototypes as well. I was a little bit curious, Greg, how did you guys score one of the, not just one of the, but you've got a prototype Ford Ranger in here, you've got a prototype Jeep Gladiator in here.
Yeah.
How did you swing that?
You know, it's funny that speaking of that Jeep Gladiator, that particular truck was made 6 days ago at the factory in Toronto and driven straight from there to here to make it for our opening day.
That is
it doesn't
so
even
crazy.
have a VIN number on it yet. It's that new.
What?
And it is getting a lot of attention here. As far as the Ford Ranger goes, There's a lot of demand for the new Ford product that's coming out. We've had a lot of people on Facebook asking if the Bronco was going to be here as well, too, and we couldn't quite pull that one off, but to get the Ranger here is pretty exciting to see them back into the mid-side truck business again.
Oh, yeah. And I love the fact that not only do you have one that's tricked out up on the podium for everybody to look at, you've got another one that has the unlocked doors, and so people can sit in it and feel how it is. And, I mean, that is a brand new rig. It just came out. And so having it here for people to be able to climb around on is fantastic.
Yeah, everybody does their research online. For those of us that are car nuts like I am, you like to go and look and see what's out the new product are, and you do your research. You still want to come down and sit in the vehicle, and if you can get out and do a test drive and so forth before you buy. And that's, I think, one of the biggest parts of what this show serves as a purpose for the consumers, because you've got everything all under one roof. So you kind of got an idea it's between this, and this. So in the truck side, if you're looking at the Chevy Colorado, or you're looking at the new Ranger, or you're looking at the Toyotas, you can come in here and look at them, and you can talk to the product specialist without salespeople around. So you're just getting the rundown on all the new features that are built into the vehicles and the safety aspects that are evolving daily. And then you get a chance to sit in it and see if it fits and meets what you're looking for in a vehicle. And then it's usually shortly after that, if you're ready to buy, that you show up at the dealerships and they roll off with a car.
That's a really good point. It's a good value if you're looking for a car, coming in here and be able to climb around on them without anybody really saying boo to you.
Yeah, we really try to stress the fact that this is it's not a sales show. It's a consumer event to come in and just go look and see, and it works. We hear from our dealers that the minute that the show is over, that there's an immediate bump in the sales, because the manufacturers and the dealers all throw additional cash on the hood because they want to. While you're excited about it, they want to take advantage of that and get you out. But they also get leads that parlay out throughout the rest of the, so again, you might research online, or maybe you came down here and you looked at what you want, then you go back and start doing your research and you narrow it down to one or two. And it's not that long ago that it was on average 5 different dealerships that you visited before you purchased. Last year it was 1.2 dealers that you visited.
Wow.
So you pretty much knew what you wanted. You went to the first dealer. If he didn't give you what you wanted because you knew about what you were going to pay, you knew about what your trade-in was worth and what the financing was going to cost you. If they didn't do it, you went to the next one, and they did. So it's really sped up the buying process for the consumers, which they love. The old dreaded days of going into the dealership and what's it going to take to put you in a car today just doesn't really happen as much anymore.
Right.
It's about getting you in, getting a vehicle that's designed for you, and then making sure you had a good experience so you come back for your service work and everything else.
So you've got to be a car guy. You've got something in your garage. What's your car of choice? What are you into?
I was getting ready to ask the same thing.
Gotta know where you're at.
It's being a car guy. There's really not much that I don't like here. I love looking at the technological innovations that are coming in here. We're not quite to the point where we have autonomous driving cars yet, but we're taking the baby steps of getting there. So the adaptive cruise control that monitors the speed of the car in front of you and lane departure warning and that type of stuff, these are the things that are going to get us there. But as far as cars go, I'm a truck and SUV guy, so to see the new Jeep Gladiator was pretty special. Got a chance to talk with the Chrysler Jeep representative that brought it in, and what he showed me, which we didn't do here at the show, but as he was pulling it in, it is truly a Jeep, but it's designed to be a truck. It is not an extended Wrangler.
Yeah.
They didn't just lengthen the frame on it and throw the body on it with a pickup truck on the back of it. It was designed to be a truck from the ground up.
Yeah, 7,000 pound tow
but it's still a
rating and all
Jeep.
that. Yeah.
So you can take the doors off, you can take the full top off, the windshield folds down, and it's true open air driving like a Jeep has always been.
Yeah,
They did it
that's
right.
a cool rig.
Yeah, they did it right. They put a half-ton chassis underneath of it, and that's the way you got to do it. If you're going to brand something as a truck, a pickup, it has to have that load capacity and that tow capacity. I think that's really brilliant.
Yeah.
We've got a real eclectic mix of stuff here. Toyota, I think it's Dick Hanna Toyota. They brought some different vehicles that have Beavers wrap and a
Portland Timbers and the
Army,
Trailblazers.
I think there was a
Yeah.
veteran association or something.
Yeah.
It's very cool that dealerships are really taking this seriously. They're making some customized vehicles to come out specifically for the show. I really like that, and I appreciate that. And that's got to be it has to speak a lot to what you do here and the culture that you've developed with the Portland International Auto Show. So good on you, my friend.
Thank you. I appreciate that. One of the things that before you get out the door, if you haven't made it down to the garage feature we have down on the south or the north end of the building up here, that is kind of that personalization side of owning a car. You know, you buy the car that you want to buy. Now what? You know, you want it to speak about you. You want it to do the things that you want it to go do. So this year we've got 3 different cars that we've been doing live builds on. We did a Honda Ridgeline, which typically you look at a Toyota truck, you get a Tacoma, and they've put a lift kit on it, and they put tires and wheels and aerodynamics on it and that type of stuff. But the Honda Ridgeline typically has been you buy it and you drive it. Well, this one they leveled it out. They put big racks on it. They put mud guards and everything else on it. It's a pretty special looking car or truck. And then they've also done a Subaru STI that they've done a full body wrap on. They put some extra equipment inside of it and suspension and braking and so forth that they're doing. And once they finished that one, now they started working on a Ford GT Mustang, and it is pretty cool.
Yeah, we went and saw those right across from the AR Auto Service booth.
Yep.
Yeah.
I saw the Ford GT Mustang down there.
So that is a combination of AR Auto Service, ProTech Automotive, Portland Wraps, Stereo King. They all came together and said, let's all do this and work together. So the cars have bounced around between who is working on it. So Eddie and Dan at AR Service came in and worked extensively on the Subaru STI, and now they're working on the Mustang. Mike from ProTech Automotive came in and did some work on it as well, and then Portland Wraps. I don't know if you got to see that STI with the airplane wrap on it. That is a pretty special looking car.
That is some incredible stuff, and really a great idea. I don't know who came up with that, but that's pure genius. So if it was you, I'm low-key complimenting you. If it was one of the people on your team, give them our compliments, because that was really a great exhibit.
I would love to take credit for it, but it actually came out of those gentlemen. So Eddie and Dan at AR and Mike at ProTech came to us and said, we kind of got an idea that we'd like to do. This is what our business does for people, and I think it puts some excitement around owning a car and personalizing the car like that. And so they said, we pitched this idea to us 3 years ago. Last year was the first year we did it, and this year we've expanded it out just because of all the feedback we got last year, both in social media as well as the people that were on the floor saying, this is just cool.
Man, that's wild.
So sometimes those modifications in business come from suggestions from the consumers that are down here, and we always like to have our ear out to hear what we can do better, what the consumer wants to see from us, and if we can bring it in, we'll do it.
So I got one more question for you. I know you're probably not allowed to pick too many favorites since you're running it, but just say you got a bonus and they said you get one economy, one luxury, one exotic to take with you when you go home at the end of the show. What would you drive those 3 cars on?
Well, that's a good question. The new Hyundai Santa Fe is, I don't know if you got a chance to look at it, but number one, it's gorgeous. But the technology that's built into it, that would probably be on my lower end scale. As far as exotics go, we have the first time that we've ever had a Lamborghini Urus in here, which is their leap into SUVs.
Yeah.
So it's a Lamborghini, but it's also an SUV. It's 4-wheel drive, and the leather that's inside of there, you feel like you're sitting in a baseball glove. It's just absolutely amazing. Outside of that, the economy side of it, I think the Electric Avenue out here with all of the advancements that have come in that side, if you get a chance to look at the Jaguar I-Pace in there, that is something that's designed to specifically go after the Tesla market, and man, is it a cool car.
Okay, I haven't seen that Jaguar yet. I might have to swing back through there and check that out.
Yeah. Well, we can tell that you're a truck and SUV guy through and through, because you honed in on all of the SUVs you liked. Greg, thank you so much for talking to us. We really appreciate it, and can't wait for the Portland International Auto Show 2020.
We're just as excited. I can't tell you how much we appreciate you guys coming down here, because as car enthusiasts, we love to chat, we love to talk, we love to spread the word of how much fun this industry can be.
True that, my friend. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
It was so great that he was able to come down and talk to us. It took a little bit of finagling, and he's, of course, busy with all kinds of stuff. But, man, what a class act being able to come down and talk to us. And what a great show.
We had a great time. at this show. If you are within striking distance of the Portland International Auto Show, you should definitely go.
Mm-hmm.
It's manufacturers are really leaning into getting their products here. They're kind of pulling out of the Detroit and New York stuff and getting into some of these smaller ones where they're allowed a little more freedom to put on the test drives and have a little bit more personal touch going on.
Mm-hmm. And more engagement from the community.
Yeah, honestly. And I mean, and don't get me wrong, this is by no means a small event. I mean, my legs are tired from walking. It's a half-day thing to see everything. And if you spend any time, you're there nearly all day.
Oh, yeah. You're going to spend a day there if you're sitting in stuff, if you're talking to people, if you're trying to just soak up the entire experience. We cannot thank Greg enough for talking to us, putting the whole event on. It goes to some really good causes, so I really do hope that anyone within the area makes their way over there to check it out. And Coy, I appreciate you coming along.
Hey, I wouldn't be anywhere else.
That's right, buddy. That's right. And you guys, thank you so much for coming along for the ride, too. Catch this episode and all of our episodes at boostboozebbq.com. Underneath of the episode, you're going to see photos. You're going to see links of all the stuff that we've been talking about. So make your way over there to check that out. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thanks for telling a friend. For Coy, this is Andy, and we will see you next time. Boost Booze and Barbecue.